Okay, I get it. Okay, this is a very controversial topic, as Gaster is one of the most popular characters within the fandom of Deltarune. However, this is all my personal opinion, and just let me tell you the reasons why I feel this way before you hate on me necessarily. Also, please don't let the takeaway from this video being me saying don't make theories on Gaster or don't talk about him, because I think he is extremely important to the plot of Deltarune and has some interesting things to theorize. This is just my personal experience with the character and why I don't care for him that much. So many people do, and that's fine. That's great, actually. But this is just for me to vent mainly about my frustrations around it. Also, I'm not saying if Gaster is introduced that I won't like him, because honestly, I probably will. A lot of the characters are written great in this game. And I'm just saying, in the current state, I can't be bothered to really think he's a cool character necessarily or care that much about him. I don't literally hate Gaster, as there's not necessarily much to hate about him, but I don't necessarily like him either because there's nothing much to care about either. I just personally don't care much for the character at all, and I'll get into reasons for this video, so stay tuned. But without further ado, let me tell you why I have Gaster fatigue. So, the first reason is the biggest reason. That I don't like Gaster that much, and it's just the whole fatigue around him, as the title of the video states. I'm going to be completely honest, I'm sick of not getting much with this character, and just getting the tiniest of hints. At least, that's what I originally thought. However, I think that's actually a very minimal amount, because what bugs me, most of the reason, is just how much is talked about him, and how much the fandom gives him roles in certain cases where an importance that I don't think he has. I'm not saying it's bad again, it's just of how much I've heard Gaster over the years, of how much hyped he is, that I'm still waiting, obviously, for him, and I just can't be bothered to care much anymore. I've watched a lot of theory videos, and almost all of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, mention Gaster. And I'm not saying I'm omitted from this either. I have mentioned Gaster, but I don't try to theorize him about, or really speculate much from him, because I don't care much about the character, obviously. And a lot of things are so baseless around the character that I just can't be bothered to go purely speculation mode, because that's a little out of my comfort and just me kind of spouting my hopes for Deltarune's story necessarily. So let's go over all the things that have been theorized about Gaster that Gaster could be in the story, and I'll tell you my opinion on them quickly. Most of them won't be that interesting though, my opinion, so yeah. So, let's start with Gaster as the Knight. Obviously, no, but I'm still bringing up this theory even if it's been disproved after the newest chapters, as they still attribute to why I like the character less. Yeah, Gaster Knight's obviously not true. It's definitely one of the holidays. I don't get why people are trying to claim it's not. In some cases, it's kind of obviously, it's not just a red herring, because that's just stupid. I'm sorry, that's stupid to just make the design that way. Gaster is the person in the character creator screen. Yeah, this one I agree with 100% on, as I think it's pretty obvious that it's Gaster. Also, I'm not gonna lie, this section is probably the most characterization we get on Gaster, other than Twitter, oddly. Gaster is also the person at the end of it, saying no one can choose who they are in this world. Maybe, seems a bit weird for that to be the case, really, but I don't think he is the one at the end, necessarily. Next we have Gaster and Friend are working together. Probably. I think Friend is honestly going to be more plot relevant than Gaster, but I do think they are related in Gaster in some way just because of the files. Gaster is the Eggman. Probably not, especially post chapters 3 and 4, but maybe kind of, it's whatever for me. Gaster is controlling Desu as the Knight. Now, this is a recent theory. I don't remember everything about the theory evidence-wise. However, I remember not being fully there for a couple of reasons, but it's definitely an interesting thought, and I like where it's going a lot of the time. I just can't fully agree on it. Gaster's the narrator. Talked about it in the last video. I don't personally think so, but it's whatever if he is, to be honest. Gaster is behind the voice from the sea. I don't know much about that song and its relevance at all, yet I'm just surprised people are ignoring the lack of Onion in the most recent chapters, because I do think that's relevant. And I'm just surprised no one's really talked about it. Chris and Des encountered Gaster before the start of the game. I don't know, man. It's just getting into the realm of pure speculation and almost fan fiction territory writing about this. Gaster was behind the Valentine's Day letter. Probably not, especially with what we know of the Eggman now. But man, I'm gonna be honest, this one, that's when I started to get the fatigue. After hearing people talk so much about this letter that I think is pretty inconsequential in the long term. However, I get it. I do get why people were talking about it. It just, bummed me out. But, it's just there was a content drought at the time. I get why people were talking about it, but like it's not that interesting, to be honest. Gaster, who is the person who drove the secret bosses, and say, maybe, man, I don't know. Again, it's hard to say, but honestly, I don't know at all. It's possible. It could also be friend or something, but we don't know anything about that much, or about the character even, really. Like, the much we have about it is that it played nothing but garbage noise. So, it's alluding to Gaster for sure in some sort of way. And there are many others past this, and I mean many. But I won't waste your time, and also, I can't think of all of them off the top of my head necessarily. But you can see where I'm coming from, at least, right? Again, I'm not saying to not make theories about Gaster, as this is just a personal thing. I just want to keep saying this. But I do think there are a lot of theories where Gaster is just shoved in there as just pure speculation to almost give more evidence to the theory, as like how the plot could develop from here necessarily. But honestly, it just gives me less credit towards the theory, because I kind of incorporate it with the theory when it could be more interesting on its own like that. But I do think Gaster, there are times where you should theorize about him. He is extremely interesting character. Like, just around, like, the mystery around him is interesting. So I'm gonna get into a little more positive territory with just this little area. I'm going to tell you what I like about Doctor, just like mainly, and why that attributes, from my perspective, not really caring much about Gaster yet. Again, I do think Gaster will be interesting. He isn't just there for me yet. There's no much character around him, and I think he's over-theorized in a lot of places. But what I like the most about Deltarune, and I think what a lot of people do, is the characters. I love Deltarune's characters, as I think they are well-written and are extremely charming. These are characters that I care about way more than any other character in any other franchise or game. Honestly, they're written very well, and I do like the characters, especially how much time I've done researching stuff about them for these videos. Just because the characters in the game are very good. Deltarune's characters have a lot of depth to them, and the plot revolves around them, so obviously by extension, I care about the plot as well. Because just what will happen to the characters, right? However, I don't feel any attachment to Gaster. I mean, I think you could see where this was going. Because he doesn't have much of a character. Like, there's just not much about him. Gaster has very little character in Deltarune, and I just don't care about him. So far, he seems like a cold-hearted scientist, and that's all we know. And the fact that he's doing stuff in the background of the game, spooky. And he could be like some kind of meta thing. I don't know, man. And that's a lot of the issue. We don't know his motives, his background, or much of anything, but it just seems like he's a cold-hearted scientist, which honestly, I don't care much about, to be completely honest. The mystery behind the horror that is WD Gaster is inherently interesting. I think that's what a lot of people theorize about, and I think that's very interesting. But I am just sick of seeing people hype up a character that I've been seeing around for 10 years, and 10 years later, I know basically nothing more about the character than I did all the way back when Undertale released, basically. It's not much for me, you know? And I don't really blame the game at all. It's really just fatigue of all the hype, and I don't blame the fandom either. I think it's just over the years, I've just slowly gotten more fatigued over the character. I don't think it's anyone's fault necessarily, or even the fandom's fault. I just think that over time, slowly, I've just been feeling less and less care for the character and the mystery behind him, because I just feel like, well, what's there? There's not much more every single chapter, really. It's very minimal, and it's more just the stuff surrounding him than him in and of itself. Also, I honestly don't think Gaster is the same from Undertale, personally. I'm just going to throw that in quickly. So that gives him less character. Of course, there's parallels, obviously, between the two. I just don't think Deltarune Gaster is the same as Undertale's Gaster, as some people believe. But it's not like he has that much more depth in Undertale. He's just also a cold-hearted scientist that fell into his own creation, whatever that really meant. I don't know if that creation... I don't really think it's Deltarune, but who knows? It could be. I don't know. The character in Undertale especially is, like, so little. And the last reason that I have fatigue is extremely personal, and a lot of people probably won't agree with me on this, and I get it, but I feel this way, that Gaster is just too fanfiction-y for me. At this point in the story, I probably am going to like Gaster at the end of the game when he appears, but just thinking about Gaster currently makes me think into fanfiction territory of like, oh, what's he doing, you know? Oh, big reveal from Gaster. Like, I just kind of picture like some sort of fan game almost, and that's not great in my head, in my opinion. Maybe it is for you, and that's great, obviously, but I don't like thinking like that, and Gaster almost feels like, in my head, since we know so much more about him kind of from fan games almost, that I start to get into the realm of honestly just thinking it's someone's OC. I'm sorry. Just because of how much he's appeared in fan games, but so little in the main games, right? It's really just about the speculatory stuff we've gotten over the years from people, and I don't think that's a problem in and of itself. And I think that coming up with plots for this character is a great way to be creative. There's a lot of things you could do with Gaster, and a lot of things you could do with this game in general. Don't stop being creative around it. However, this has led me to not really think of much cool about the character necessarily, and just think of kind of lame reveals and stuff that I don't love personally. Also, a side point, I just hope Gaster gets some sort of redesign, because his current design doesn't really do much for me. But obviously, Deltarune looks a lot different from Undertale, so I doubt it'll look the same. Because also, the design we have in Undertale might not even be him. We don't know what he looks like. So, I don't know. I honestly think they'll probably keep something similar to that design, just because of how cemented it is. But I hope he looks quite a bit different at least. Like, just better clothing for the character or something, because I don't even know what he's currently wearing, or if he's wearing anything at all. But I'd be fine with a completely new design also, but I do think they'll stick to something similar, if you know where I'm coming from. And my final point that doesn't really attribute to fatigue necessarily, is just something that kind of bugs me, is the fact that Gaster might not appear in Deltarune at all, and there's just hype around the character that's gonna be non-existent in the game again. If people like claim he's on some other meta existence kind of thing, which I'm sorry, I don't really agree with personally. I don't love that theory of him like being some sort of like omnipotent thing necessarily. Like, I think he is within the world of Deltarune personally. Cause it just becomes so complicated, right? And something that I feel like needs more time to really sink in and be hinted at. I don't know. I don't like the thought of it just dumping in and like, oh, you're like someone's watching the entire game being Gaster or whatever. I don't even know if we'll see him, especially if that's the case. Like, why would we see him if he's on some new meta plane or whatever? I can't tell Gaster's role in the story at all, if you can tell by this video. So I can't even say if he'll appear. Also, I'm calling it right now. There won't be a Gaster fight, because it really doesn't feel right with the character. I think at most we fight like a creation of his, but I don't think we'll fight Gaster necessarily. Or it'll be like a quick fight where you like kill him instantly or something. Gaster, there's just, I don't know. There's not much I know about him being in the game. I do think Gaster will appear in the game. Just gonna put that out there. I think he will. This is just like a little doubt in my head that he won't. I think he will. I do think he will. There's like a 90% chance in my head that he appears. Okay, maybe that's a little high, but I do think there's a high chance he appears. And there's just so many possibilities of how he appears. It's possible he's only in the Snowgrave. It's possible he's only in the regular route. And I just don't have a clue how he's gonna appear. I don't think other people do either, but I especially don't even have a single theory on how he will appear. So, yeah. Okay, this is the outro part. So if you don't like the video. I'm just sorry if you don't. Also, sorry if it came off like snarky or really annoying in some way. Wasn't my intention to like put you down in any way or anything about the character. It's just my personal gripes with the character. None of this is objective. Your opinions on Gaster are completely valid, no matter how you think of him. Seriously, and again, I'm not saying don't make stuff involving him, as this is just a personal video. I think creating stuff around him is great. None of these statements are objective also, like what I say in this video. I was not saying like, oh, Gaster is necessarily a bad character. It's just, I don't care much for his character. There's not much we know other than speculatory and piecing some things together, which is why I just don't like the character. They're just my opinions, don't take it too seriously. And tell me your thoughts on the character. Tell me why you'd like or dislike him, because I like seeing how people think of characters in the game, seriously, and how they feel about him. I like seeing people's opinions on this game. I just do. It's why I make a lot of these videos. This was a personal video about Deltarune. I really hope you don't take it too seriously. Because at the end of the day, it is just a game. A really good game, don't get me wrong, but it's not worth fighting over, obviously. I'm curious to see Gaster's role in the game, but I don't necessarily have hype around him. That's kind of the whole idea of this video, right? It's not that, I'm not, like, curious at all. I am interested. I'm just not, like, overly excited to see Gaster or whatever, necessarily. And that's just my thoughts. So, goodbye.